Hey there everybody, it's Neil, the Great Apostate. Hope you're doing well. Just decided to go out for a walk this evening. It's getting into the autumn, and as you know, I said earlier, I've decided to sort of stop doing the XJW channel. Not stop, I mean I'll still mention it because it's part of who you are, isn't it? You can't go past that. But there's more important things in the world, and certainly over the last 2 years, I think I've certainly learnt that I was fighting a big fight in a very small pool, and there's a big ocean of problems in the world around us. So one thing I wanted to talk about was what's been happening to me and you over the last 2 years, and I wanted to talk to you about the COVID crisis. As you know, I pretty much stopped my videos slightly before that happened, about a year before that happened. So never really had much comment on it online, and you couldn't comment online up to date. It was very difficult to do so. So I'll tell you what happened to me during the COVID crisis. I'm looking at this at the wrong angle on my camera. So at the beginning, I tend to be a bit of a prepper. It's probably my end of the world mentality. You know, I always see the end of the world coming fast. The horsemen of the apocalypse are flying down on their very, very fast horses. And I saw the end of the world. Let me show you Northern Ireland, by the way, while I'm talking. So I saw the end of the world coming, and I told my daughter and my wife, we'd just taken our daughter to a fencing competition for her school, and I said to her that Saturday, I said, I'm worried. I see videos and pictures of what's going on in China. I'm scared. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to go to the shops while she's at this tournament, and I'm going to buy lots of food. So I bought lots of food. I bought lots of cold medications and all that jazz, because I figured it would be good. And sure enough, we all started getting scared, didn't we? I certainly did. Then they came along and they said, well, we're just going to lock the country down for, I think, 3 weeks to save the NHS, or 10 days to save the NHS. And there wasn't much you could do about that, unfortunately. So we all sort of acquiesced. And truthfully, at the time, I thought, maybe it wasn't the best idea, but it was an idea, and I didn't really have one. So I agreed. But as a self-employed person, I've never been one for sitting on my ass. And so what I did instead of working was I volunteered. So I volunteered for the National Health Service, and I spent about 3 months on and off helping in my local health centre and volunteering there for nothing. And what I did was I became the bouncer, the local doorman of my GP surgery, right? And so people came, and I had to tell them they couldn't come in, that they had to phone up and get their prescriptions from the doctor. And that was fine. So I did that. Second day I did it, a little old man came to the front door, a guy in his 60s. And I politely told him, sorry sir, you can't come in. You have to phone up to get your prescription. And he said, I will cut your throat, and pulled a knife on me. It's true. And so that was some going. But sure, what can you do? I ended up kicking him in the nuts because I had big boots on, and then the police came, and it was all to do, but it was all sorted in the end, and nothing came of it. I didn't press charges, so did that for a wee while. Then I was able to go back to work, and really thought nothing more of it. I mean, to be honest with you, by that point I'd been pretty much convinced that everything was a huge blowover, and that even if it wasn't, there wasn't really much we could do about it at the same time, anyway. I listened to the experts. The experts were saying, at least the experts that I listened to, were saying that there's no cure for this. You're never going to get a vaccine. It's incredibly difficult to make them. And so, all you can do is stay healthy, lose weight, take vitamin D, all these good things. And I tried to lose weight, as you can see. I mean, some people have noticed I've lost about 45 pounds. Better on my joints. And, altogether better for me. But, sorry, I just got a bug in my mouth there. But so I was convinced that nothing was really going to change regarding the virus, and that by that point again, I'd come to the conclusion that the deaths were getting ginned up. In my opinion, that a lot of people who they said were dying of the disease were not really. That a lot of the claims, were being proven to be demonstrably false from the beginning. That they were doing some things in Britain. I don't know how they did it in America, or Canada, or Australia, or New Zealand, or the EU. But in Britain, they were doing it so that if you got diagnosed with COVID, and then hit by a bus, you died of COVID. If you got, and this happened, if you got diagnosed with COVID and then you got murdered, you died of COVID. And so all these mad things. I mean, I know in America they were actually incentivizing the hospitals to diagnose people with COVID because they got more money that way. So by that point, I never really believed a thing of it. It was at that point, really, that probably a year into it, 8 months to a year into it, that I decided, no, what they're doing here, the continual lockdown, was just... Oh, sorry, I've got my... If you can hear that, that's my timer on telling me how much I've walked. 1 mile. Woo! And so at that point, I was pretty convinced it was all nonsense. So I got participating, as I did in the past, in the protest movements, and I helped protest outside Belfast regarding an anti-lockdown protests, where we were screamed at, we were spat on, we had people abuse us all roads. The police, they set riot police on us. But it didn't really stop us. My wife Linda came with me. The kids came with me, although a little bit begrudgingly. But it was more important. It's one of those things that hopefully they'll be proud of when they're older, even if they're a little bit embarrassed about it at the time. Now, I know many of you at that point were probably enthusiastically getting vaxxed. But by that point, once again, I was carefully looking at, what I was reading, and I was remembering what the experts had said, which is we can't do this, we cannot make a vaccine. And days later they came out and said, oh, guess what, we made a vaccine. And I thought at the time, this is a very fishy tale indeed. So, what are you to do? Are you to take this thing which has just been developed with no huge history behind it? Are you to trust, these experts and not the other experts with your health? Because you don't get your health back if something screws it up. And so I decided, me personally, that I wouldn't take it. I thought that I was relatively safe, as was my wife Linda, and she decided, she made her own decision obviously, and she decided not to take it either. My children, we didn't get them jabbed either. And now I think about it, and I see the consequences of that. In my own family, I've had one relative who had a stroke, who was in her 20s. Well, not a stroke, they give it some kind of fancy name for like a mini stroke. Said it was stress she was under. Okay, that happens a lot. My mum had a stroke, quite a serious one actually. She's still not herself, quite a long time after. That was after her second jab. My father-in-law, he was very, very vociferous about getting injected. Thought it was a hugely important issue, and he was angry. I remember at one point he said to me, you not getting the children jabbed is so selfish because they could get sick and make me ill. And I said to him at the time, with the best will in the world, I said, Steve, but that's how the world works. We adults, we die for children. We don't risk our children for our own safety. That's not normal, not sensible. And here, let me stop. I want to show you something beautiful. Look at those beautiful flowers. Can you see those? I hope so. Look at that. This is a really lovely little bit of waste ground near my home, but it is quite beautiful. So anyway, obviously, he wasn't particularly keen on that answer, but that was the situation. And throughout the lockdowns, we largely ignored them. We saw our family whenever we could, although they're older these days, and they were very nervous. So we sat outside in the garden in winter and all that silly stuff that you probably did too. But anyway, Steve, who'd been so aggressively keen to get vaccinated, encouraging me to watch documentaries, maybe the BBC, who I really trust. Unfortunately, Steve, he had a clot that went to his heart 6-7 weeks ago, and he died instantly. So that's my wife's dad gone, and we'll never know, will we? We can't prove that a guy who's just turned 70 a week ago, and who was a big, fit, vigorous man, fair enough, he was a bit overweight and he had high blood pressure. We can't prove that it was caused by one thing or another, and of course they'll never say exactly what did it. But what can you do? You can mourn him. which is what we did. And we're still mourning him, which is a strange thing for me because, I actually did the eulogy, half the eulogy at his funeral. And one of the things I said was, anyone who knows Steve knows that I spent the last 20 years arguing with him. But that I now wish, now that he's gone, I wish that I had another 20 years to finish the argument. But again, you don't know why he went, or what took him. But we all know the stories. We all know the people that in our lives, people that we work with, the families. We know the newspaper articles about young athletes getting ill, and we also know, which I think is a more sinister thing, we know that the media aren't talking about it, are they? Very, very little. The same way there used to be a daily death total in every paper in the Western world, and every news channel. There's no longer a daily death toll, even though that in Britain, I believe the death rate is up 20% on any other time. New Zealand has just posted record death figures for all causes, and you don't know what it is. I think one of the saddest things and one of the most unpleasant things is during this period of time when everyone was being vilified and demonized to get vaccinated, you were told, because I was one of the people who didn't, you were told to hate us, that we were we were persona non grata, that we should be punished, or we should be stripped of our rights in society, which is a very funny thing, because it's exactly what they did to the Hutus and the Tutsis. The Hutus and the Tutsis, that's what happened there. We became lower than low, and vermin, and that's what gave people the right to feel that they could spit on us on the street when we went to protests. But you were told, those of you who chose to go along with it, and I don't make judgments if you did. Let me scratch my lip there. You were told that these things were all fine, that this was the right way to encourage us to do it. But now that the shoe is somewhat on the other foot, and a lot of these people who've chosen to go that path. Oh, there's people. Let me pause. Hello. I'm back. Dog just came up to give me a sniff. So now that we've got through that stage, and the shoe's somewhat on the other foot, and people who did choose to go along with the government campaigns of fear and intimidation and get jabbed, now that that's happened, a lot of those people are rightfully fearful of their own health. And I know people who aren't jabbed, who sometimes say, they feel that it's turnabout's fair play, that they should be mocking. I think that's a huge mistake, because we're all, what was done to us was done collectively. Whether you chose to do it so you could go on a trip and see your family, as I know one lady was, whether you took it so you could go to work and feed your family, or whether you, like my own brother, who lost his job because he didn't want to do it. Now, me personally, I don't care what your reasons for not getting it done were. You could be just a person who says no to the government, which is fine by me. You could be a person who has moral or ethical issues with the actual methodology behind it, or the actual creation of the job, as I did. But at the same time, it really worries me that we've entered this sort of phase now in life where people are worried about their own health because of it. And if you are, I'd really like your comments below. Actually, I'd like to know what happened to you. Did you have good experiences when you got jabbed? Because I hope you did. Yeah, I really do. I hope it was fine for you, because that would be horrible if it wasn't. Let me know. But as it stands now, we're coming into the winter in the West. We have this very unpleasant situation between Russia and Ukraine. I support the current thing. Newsflash, I don't support the current thing. Not at all. The current thing is stupid. I do not support it. But it doesn't matter, because we're still going to lose heat this year. And as I said, I'm still a bit of a prepper at heart. So I'll probably do a video showing you my preparations for winter 2022. They're somewhat extensive, and they're verging on extremist, I would say. Not politically extremist, but just a little bit much. So I think you'll enjoy that. Yes, I'll do a video on that. But let me know how you guys felt, and how you guys got on during the COVID era. I hope it's coming to an end. I know some countries, Canada for instance, with that execrable Trudeau, are trying to bring it back and demand boosters. But if it's something you don't want to do, you know, now's the time not to do it, guys. You know, if you feel you've had enough, or you feel that you didn't do well with it the first 3 times, yeah, the evidence is not on their side. So I would urge you to think hard. But anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching this video. I'm going to go on and finish my walk, pick up the pace a bit. Take care. Like and subscribe if you like and subscribe.